My name's Dan McManus. I'm a firefighter for 13 years. I'm currently working as a crew manager within the assurance section at Dalton Fire and Rescue Service. So my experience goes back first of all to July of last year, 2018. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and depression. This went back from 2 years prior to an incident in August 2016 where at the time we were doing EMR and we got called to an incident where there was a lady went in cardiac arrest. We turned up, we did everything we could, CPR, defib. At the time there was very few ambulances available, so when one did come available they came and helped, but obviously with the shortage of staff they asked if I could go in the ambulance with them. We then did CPR all the way to Sunderland Hospital where the lady was pronounced dead probably about 20 minutes after that. To be honest, I'm not sure why that one affected us more than others. During the time we were experiencing death on a very regular basis, and I think looking back now it was probably just the one that just sort of tipped it over the edge.
I'm Julie Neesham, I'm Dan McManus's partner. So I did notice a change in Dan's behaviour. It was just little things at first. He kind of seemed very tired all of the time, didn't really have a lot of energy, was a bit moody, but as kind of time progressed, I started seeing a lot of worrying traits, I would say. Started kind of drinking a lot more than usual. He had lost a lot of interest in a lot of his hobbies that he had.
I started sort of self-sabotage, it's called, and I stopped doing things I enjoy doing. I stopped doing sports, I stopped trying to socialise with my friends, I stopped doing everything I enjoy doing. I could see, or I appreciate when I was at work, I was a bit more sort of isolated. I didn't really want to sort of mix with the group as much. I spent a lot of time by myself, and like I say, from that it just sort of gets progressively worse. By the time when you stop doing your sports, stop doing your exercise, stop taking care of yourself really, then it just makes you feel worse than yourself as well, which obviously dampens your mood even more. Looking back now, and it was probably clear to see, if I look back at one stage, I took myself to the hospital because I was convinced I was having a heart attack. So I went and got ECG and tests done and things like that, but it turned out everything was fine. It was just, I think, my body telling me that there was something wrong, which I didn't sort of appreciate and didn't sort of acknowledge really. So it took, like I said, 2 years. About the May time in 2018, I went away with the family and they asked me about how I was feeling. I think they had suspicions. I didn't have any intention of telling them, but it just came out. And when it did, it was a relief. It was a massive relief. So from that, I was able to access help through my family. They supported us. They set up a session with a therapist and did the initial consultation from then, and then I had to come back to work the next day, and that was probably the hardest conversation I've had at work, to sort of admit that there's an issue.
Based on what Daniel did, I was so proud of him because he doesn't talk about his emotions, but once he did, it was just kind of like the floodgates were open and he was just able to kind of talk more and more, and I think it really helped him. And I think because he'd opened up, he'd actually said a few people had then on the back of that come to him and said, actually I'd felt a bit the same and I felt like I couldn't, raise the subject, but now that I've seen that you've done it, it's helped me, or give me the courage to kind of speak to somebody about it. So I think that's the best advice I can give, is just don't be afraid to talk to somebody, and it's not as uncommon as what people may think it is.
And from that, like I say, that it certainly felt like a problem shared was a problem halved, and it was.